Welcome back to the 6-week series from Invisible to Influential in just 6 weeks, where strategic leadership coaching meets AI tools that think with you. You're listening to the Leader Within podcast with Sue-Anne Higgins. Over the past 3 weeks, you've reclaimed your tiger time, you've built your daily blueprint, and you've mastered the 5 gatekeepers of influence. You're building now some serious momentum toward becoming the strategic leader who gets seen, heard, and supported. This is week 4 of our series, and today we're diving into building your strategic leadership presence, another essential piece of learning to think, communicate, and show up differently. There's this industry lie that we've all been fed. Hard work gets noticed. Put your head down, deliver exceptional results, and recognition will follow. But here's the visibility paradox that's keeping you stuck. The harder you work, the less visible you come. Think about it. While you're buried in delivering results, who's at the strategic planning sessions? While you're perfecting that progress, who's having coffee with the strategic decision makers? While you're being that reliable executor, who's been seen as the visionary or strategic leader? You've fallen into what I've called the perfectionism trap, comfort zone, try harder traps of leadership. It's the pattern that when you're refining endlessly, polishing every detail, believing that perfect work will finally get you noticed. But perfection isn't creating visibility, it creates invisibility. And here's what I hear often. Once this project is perfect, they'll see my value. I just need to work a bit harder, deliver more results. Then I'll get recognised. I understand this belief. You were taught that excellence speaks for itself, that quality rises up to the top, that merit matters most. But let me challenge you. If perfect work guaranteed visibility, then everyone producing flawless result would be in senior leadership, right? We all know that's not true. Research shows that visibility and perceived leadership presence account for more leadership advancement than performance metrics alone. People form impressions on your leadership capability within 33 milliseconds of encountering you, not your work. But when you're so busy perfecting work that you never show up to strategic conversations, or you're obsessing over your notes, you're literally absent from the neural networks where leadership decisions get made. What if visibility paradox meant that your exceptional work is actually keeping you invisible? What if strategic presence matters more than perfect execution? When you're invisible, you don't just limit your own career. You deprive your organisation of your strategic thinking at the levels where it matters most. Today, we're talking about breaking that visibility paradox by building up your trust quotient and authentic leadership presence without compromising your standards or feeling like you're self-promoting. Let me tell you about Lisa, a high performer who perfectly embodies the visibility paradox. Lisa was that leader that every team wanted, but executives barely knew existed. The harder she worked, the more invisible she became. While she was delivering complex projects under budget and ahead of a schedule, her less capable peers were having strategic conversations with leadership. Her typical quarter, a perfect demonstration of the visibility paradox in action. She would arrive early to prep for meetings while others arrived just in time to be seen. She'd stay late perfecting deliverables while others were at leadership networking events. She'd send her team to present wins while she handled the real work behind the scenes. The breaking point came when a senior position opened, one that she was perfect for. She had essentially been doing the job already, covering brilliantly during her boss's extended leave. Everyone assumed she would get it. The role went to another leader who had been visible at every leadership forum but had delivered nothing substantially. The feedback: we need someone with leadership presence. Lisa's excellent at execution, but we don't see her strategically. That night, Lisa got the news that she didn't get the job. She finally understood the visibility paradox. Her exceptional work had made her indispensable in her current role, but invisible for the next level. The harder she worked, the deeper she disappeared into operational excellence. Lisa had fallen into the perfectionism trap, believing that perfect work could create visibility, when actually it was creating the opposite. She didn't need to work harder. She needed to understand the visibility paradox and how it was keeping her stuck. And she needed to build her strategic presence. So, what happens in others' brains when they assess your leadership presence or fail to see you at all? Let's start with the Trust Quotient calculation. Within 33 milliseconds, faster than conscious thought, people's amygdalas have assessed your trustworthiness based on micro-expressions, posture, tone, and voice. This happens before they even process your actual words of accomplishment. If you're not present, this assessment never happens. And then add in a hybrid working environment. If you're online, your presence is diminished further. Then we have the cognitive anchoring. The first impression someone forms of your leadership capability becomes anchored against which all future interactions are measured. When you're first seen as the executor rather than the strategist, that neural pathway strengthens every time, making it increasingly difficult to shift perception. Now, here's the most critical insight: the mere exposure effect. Research from organisational psychology shows that leaders who are simply seen more frequently are rated more competent, regardless of actual performance. Your brain interprets familiarity as competence, which explains why less capable but more visible leaders often advance faster. And then there's presence bias. Neuroscience shows that the brain doesn't naturally register who's missing from the room. It only encodes who's present. Presence bias means that when you're buried in perfect work, you literally don't exist in people's mental models of leadership. The meeting isn't remembered as missing you, it's remembered as led by the people who showed up. Let me share something important about neural mirroring and presence. When you don't show up but minimize yourself, speak softly, sitting on the periphery, deflecting credit, mirror neurons in others' brains pick up these signals and categorize you as supportive rather than the strategic leader. Recent studies on women in leadership reveal another layer: the double bind paradox. Women who self-promote trigger negative biases, but women who don't self-promote remain visible. The perfectionism trap convinces you the solution is to work harder on deliverables, when what you need is strategic visibility that negates this double bind. Your personal brand imprint, the neural pattern others form around your leadership, is being created whether you're intentional about it or not. The visibility paradox means that while you're perfecting work, others are perfecting their presence. And then consider this. Your team's mirror neurons are learning from your visibility patterns. When you model hard work that happens behind the scenes, you're inadvertently teaching them to remain invisible too. In week 4 of the Intentional Leader Blueprint coaching experience, we teach you to break the invisibility paradox through building your trust quotient and your leadership presence. But this isn't about faking executive presence. It's about authentic visibility that honours who you are while ensuring you're seen. Trust quotient isn't just about being trustworthy. You already are. It's about ensuring that trust registers in those split-second neural assessments. We break it down into 4 pillars. 1, credibility signals, how you communicate expertise with strategic presence. 2, reliability patterns, how you create consistent presence without overwhelm. 3, relational presence, how you build connection while maintaining authority. And 4, self-orientation, how you demonstrate value beyond self-interest. For Lisa, building the trust quotient meant breaking the visibility paradox. Strategic visibility moments. Instead of perfecting one more deliverable, she attended leadership forums with one prepared insight that showcased her strategic thinking. Credit architecture. She learned to say, my team and I are most proud of this outcome, instead of disappearing behind the work. Presence anchoring. She literally changed where she sat, moving from the edges to positions where her contributions would register. Story architecture. She developed 3 signature stories that demonstrated strategic capability, not just execution excellence. Then comes strategic presence, not performing confidence, but breaking through the visibility paradox. Lisa discovered that optimal strategic presence formula, the 70-20-10 rule, 70% of visibility through consistent excellence, 20% through strategic conversations, and 10% through thought leadership. The visibility arc. Each strategic initiative included 3 deliberate visible moments: inception, in point, midpoint insights, and completion credit. Presence before perfection, setting good enough thresholds that allowed her to be present rather than perpetually polishing. The breakthrough came when Lisa realised the visibility paradox meant her perfect work was actually preventing her progress. When she shifted from invisible excellence to visible contribution, everything changed. She learned to reframe visibility not as self-promotion, but as leadership responsibility. When you hide behind your perfect world, you rob your organisation of strategic value and your team of a visible champion. Breaking through the visibility paradox means you need to become strategically visible without abandoning your standards, which feels uncomfortable. If you were to start experimenting with strategic visibility right now, here's a prompt that you can try with ChatGPT. Help me write a LinkedIn post about a recent team achievement that highlights both my team's success and my leadership contribution. Go ahead, try it, see what it gives you. You'll probably get something like, proud of my team completing Project X. Their dedication and hard work made this possible. Hashtag teamwork, hashtag leadership. It's positive, it's safe. But if you're like most women leaders caught in the visibility paradox, you immediately think, this feels like I'm bragging. I should be working instead of posting, or perfect work should speak for itself. Keep prompting until you find language that feels authentically you. Generic AI will give you templates, but where there's gaps, it can't understand the visibility paradox, how the harder you work, the less visible you come, or why being seen feels like you're betraying your work ethic. Breaking that visibility paradox isn't about posting on LinkedIn or in other socials or attending meetings. If it was that simple, you'd already be visible. What keeps most leaders stuck is the psychology of the paradox itself. The belief that time spent on visibility is time stolen from excellence. The fear that being seen means your work isn't speaking loudly enough. The exhaustion of trying to be perfect and present. And this is where generic AI falls short. It can write you a social post or meeting talking points, but it doesn't understand the specific situation, how the visibility paradox plays out in your industry, why perfectionism feels safer than presence, or how to navigate visibility without triggering a backlash. That's why inside the Intentional Leader Blueprint coaching experience, you get access to the Spotlight Shaper, a custom AI designed specifically around the Leader Within method. It doesn't just create visibility content, it helps you break the visibility paradox by supporting you in 5 ways. Analysing the visibility paradox patterns by identifying exactly how hard you work is making you invisible and where to or how to break the cycle. 2, crafting your leadership story portfolio, your signature stories that demonstrate strategic capability while honouring your execution excellence. 3, building sustainable visibility rhythms, presence practices that don't require sacrificing your standards or working less hard. 4, creating trust quotient moments, specific phrases and positioning that registers in those crucial 33 millisecond assessments. 5, unlocking self-coaching questions such as, how is my perfectionism keeping me invisible? What would I change if I valued presence as much as perfectionism? Questions that shift you from visibility paradox to strategic influence. Let me give you an example. When the Spotlight Shaper is used, instead of visibility advice, you'll get something like this. I notice you're caught in the visibility paradox, working 50 hours plus a week on execution while spending 0 hours on strategic presence. Here's your week 1 paradox breaker. Set a visibility minimum of 2 hours per week. This is reallocated from perfecting to presence. Use it for 1 strategic conversation, which is 30 minutes, 1 leadership forum, which is 45 minutes, 1 thought leadership activity for 30 minutes, and reflection 15. For your LinkedIn post or your internal social post, try this frame. Something I've learned from leading and given a specific initiative, excellent isn't just about perfect execution. It's about ensuring that execution creates strategic value. Here's how our team balanced both. This positions you as strategic while honouring your execution strengths. Do you see the shift? The Spotlight Shaper wasn't just about adding to workload. It helps you reallocate energy from invisible perfection to visible impact. That's the power of the Spotlight Shaper and the coaching experience. It helps you break free of the visibility paradox, moving you from unseen excellence to strategic presence. So imagine when a leader breaks a visibility paradox with the right support. Picture Lisa, a composite of so many leaders I've coached, hardworking, consistently delivering, but invisible at the strategic level. When she learns to break the visibility paradox and build her trust quotient, here's what shifted. She didn't work less hard, she worked differently. She maintained her high standard, but added strategic presence to her excellence equation. Within 4 months, she was invited to present to the board, not because her work suddenly improved, but because her strategic thinking finally became visible. The transformation went deeper. Her reputation evolved. She went from Lisa, who gets things done, to Lisa, whose strategic insight we need. Same excellence, same dedication, now with presence that matched her capability. The promotion she missed, 6 months later, an even better position was opened up. This time she wasn't just qualified. She was the obvious choice. The hiring panel said that Lisa brought both execution excellence and strategic vision. Her team transformed too. As Lisa became more visible, so did they. Her advocacy now carried weight. Her recommendations got approved. Her team's work gained recognition because their leader was finally at the tables where credit gets distributed. These kind of results I've seen time and time again as leaders break through the visibility paradox. In our next cohort of the Intentional Leader Blueprint coaching experience, we're enhancing week 4 with the Spotlight Shaper AI so that you not only learn how to build your trust quotient, but you have a custom AI partner helping you break the visibility paradox with confidence and authenticity. Because strategic presence isn't about working less hard. It's about ensuring your hard work gets seen at the levels where it matters. That's a wrap for week 4 from Invisible to Influential 6-week series. You've just discovered how to build your strategic leadership presence and break the visibility paradox, where the harder you work, the less visible you become. Combined with everything that you've learned about Tiger Time, daily blueprints, the 5 gatekeepers, you're really learning to think, communicate, and show up differently. But here's the thing. Glimpsing transformation and living it are 2 different things. If you're ready to step up from being the best kept secret in your organisation and want the support to turn these insights into your new reality, go to sue-anne.com.au/intentional and discover From Invisible to Influential in just 6 weeks, where strategic leadership coaching meets AI tools that think with you. In our next cohort, as mentioned, we will be enhancing it with the Spotlight Shaper AI to help you break your invisibility paradox and build that authentic strategic presence. Remember, you're only one reconstructed thought away from the breakthrough you deserve in your life and leadership journey. Next week, we'll pack your leadership go bag, the reset rituals and scripts that help you lead with poise under pressure or grace under pressure. Until then, my lovely, keep leading with clarity, passion, and purpose.